Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are continuing Shri Ekanathi Bhagavad, chapter 2. We will be continuing the verse 51 and we will be today starting from the sub-verse 718. So let us start Shri Ekanathi Bhagavad, chapter 2, verse 51. He who does not feel proud in his body by reason of his birth, action, caste, status in life is the devotee liked by Hari. So we had finished till 717, the sub-verse. Today we'll be beginning from 718. When anyone is born, he does not have any caste or religion, but he by ignorant identification considers himself as belonging to a particular caste, ashram, family, race, etc. and carries that burden on his mind. I think this is the most important lesson which we've been learning since the time immemorial, should I say, since the time of beginning of the time. Now what is being taught here? That first is you don't have to identify yourself with the body. That's what he's saying. When anyone is born, he does not have any caste or religion, but he by ignorant identification considers himself as belonging to a particular caste. We say, I am a Brahman, I am a Kshatriya, I am a Shudra, I come from this caste, I come from that caste. Oh, we are higher caste, you are lower caste. We have all these, subdivisions in our life. But why does that come about? He's very clearly saying, he by ignorant identification. Then ashram, so you're from different stages of life. Family, oh, I belong to this family. I come from the royal family. I come from this kingly family. I am an, heir to the throne. So many different things we talk about. Then comes the race. Oh, what race are you? Recently, this body's uncle passed away. So I was talking to all these, the so-called priests, who are there to swindle money for doing all these ceremonies, and they quote their price. So it's like a business that is run. There is no value to a human being today. It's all about money. And this person was asking me, which race do you come from? What is this? What is that? I said, I don't know any of those things. I have taken Diksha. I am under a guru. My Gurudev's lineage is not Sampradaya. I belong to that. And I have nothing to do with this person who died. He is this body's father's brother. Oh, you should be performing the puja and all. I said, no, sorry, I have a guru and I have taken an initiation under him. So I am not concerned with this. But these people have made this into a business. So what are we talking about? Family, race, etc. and carries that burden on his mind. So where is it all attached? It's in your mind, the belief system, supposedly. So if you believe, it exists. If you don't believe, it doesn't exist. So it's all in the mind. He is very clearly saying. So if you start believing, oh yes, I'm a Brahman, this is my Gotra, this is my family lineage, this is my race, I am so and so, this is how we have to live, this is how we have to eat. It's all in ignorance. You're doing all of this, you're blindly following a societal created norms. And there is no truth in it. Next. Even gods like Brahma get themselves involved by such false pride. And many great scholars also possess a notion that they are of a particular caste or family, race, etc. and are caught in that pride. This is very, very powerful. Even Brahmaji cannot escape. What about mere mortals? Just imagine. What is he saying? Even the gods like Brahma get themselves involved by such false pride. What is he calling it? False pride. So don't have this pride. We are some family, I'm from Christianity, I'm from Islam, I am a Sikh, I am this religion, I am that religion. Please understand. First, you need to learn to speak the religion called love. The word called love. Religion is only just what is palatable to you. It is all leading to one only. What is that? God realization or the self-realization. You are not this body. There is only one Paramatma, and that is all you have to believe in. The religion has to be followed of love, not of all this nonsense. This nonsense has no value, understand. The more you get into it, the more you get entangled into this crap. And then what happens? More karma you will perform. So please understand, be a very good human being first, because we have forgotten how to be nice. We have forgotten how to love. We have forgotten the goodness in our world. We are so mean people. Have you seen human beings? I had a fantastic experience. When I was calling, this Panditji is actually yelling at me. He's telling me, you don't dictate terms to me. I am Brahmin. I know better than you. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I had to disconnect his call. I didn't even want to go further, because if I go further, then that fellow is going to get a piece of mind and I don't need to. This universe will take care. Like my Guruji always says, why are you dirtying your hands, Rajma? Our universe is there to take care. Don't even open your mouth. I had to disconnect that person's call. I abruptly had to cut the call off. So, like, we should not talk to ignorant beings, because it's useless. We have to only focus on our spiritual wheel, most important. But before you get to the spiritual side of the story, first become a good human being. Sattva guna is the most important thing. Where is your goodness gone? Where is the love gone? You people are living in your mind. What is he saying? The man carries all this burden in his mind. It is not somewhere else. You are holding it in your mind. So it is the mind which you have to overcome. Then, so even gods like Brahma get themselves involved by such false pride, and many great scholars also possess a notion that they are of a particular caste or family, race, etc., and are caught in that pride. Have you gone to all these temples, especially the South Indian temples? Have you seen that all these priests from this temple, they have a big fat ego. Oh, I am this learned scholar. I know the mantra. I recite. I have by hearted. And they think no end of themselves. Do you think God will ever, give him the grace or darshan? He is just doing the job, of performing a duty. Like, you go to office and you are working there. Similarly, these priests are just doing a job. Their ulterior motivation is money. They are not doing there for bhakti. There is no devotion in them. My Guruji once asked a very powerful question. He says, Rajma, just imagine, so many people want to go meet Balaji. And everybody is striving so hard and, to just get that few seconds of darshan of his. And imagine that Panditji who's standing, day and night doing that puja and prayers. Do you think he has even this iota of bhakti over there? He's standing in front of Balaji day and night. It's only the pride. You know what? I am the head priest of Balaji temple. Tirupati Balaji. I am the one. That's all. The pride is what they'll have. No Balaji will come in front of him. Even if he stands in front of him, he will not be able to recognize. This is Param Satya. God doesn't give darshan to people with hot-headed, pride, arrogance. That and all doesn't exist in the world of God. God loves those devotees who are truly humble, who are pure being. And most important word which I forgot last time to explain, which is very important over here, he talks about a word which means knowledgeable devotee. Most important, what is he saying? The man who has no pride about his body is also not proud of his caste. And a really knowledgeable devotee is not proud of his ashram. So what does that tell you? Knowledgeable devotee. So do you think these Panditjis have knowledge? They are the most haughty-headed people. So how can God come to them? He will not. He's just looking at a statue. That is all. The stone of Balaji he's worshipping. Balaji's grace will not be there. They're just doing a job. Similarly, here also, Brahmaji himself is caught in that pride. And the pride is very dangerous. We are going to do one of the chapters, chapter 11 or 12, I don't remember. Eknath Maharaj is going to give a complete discourse on pride. And that's very dangerous for a human being. So you got to be very careful about it. Then, many great learned, and are caught in that pride. So horrible is the effect of this pride that even gods like Brahma cannot save themselves from it. Nor it is dropped even at the world's end. Many great learned people are caught in it. My God, this is extremely dangerous statement. What is he saying? So horrible is the effect of this pride that even gods like Brahmaji cannot save themselves from it. Brahmaji has this pride that, oh, I am the creator, I am the greatest, I have, I know the Vedas, all that pride is there. So if Brahmaji gets caught in that, what about a normal human being? And so what is he saying? Nor it is dropped even at the world's end. So now do you remember in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna Bhagavan says? He says, I am the source of all the creation coming into existence and the dissolution happening. And what does he say? He says something very beautiful. Because of the karma and the nature, what does he say? He will send them back. After dissolution happens, that this entire world comes to an end, then he sends them back once again, sends them forth back again, once again. By what? Based on what? Based on their karma, based on their nature, based on everything. So you're going to be reborn again and again and again and again because of this reason. So even if this entire world comes to an end, this whole creation, everything, this yuga, this Kali Yuga comes into end also, then when the new yuga comes about, he sends forth back the same beings, born of their own nature and karma. So what is most important? That we have to be humble. We should not have any pride. My Guruji will never acknowledge himself of anything. If you tell him, oh, you have this knowledge, he'll say, no, I don't know. I don't have any knowledge. That's his humility. He serves himself, meaning he uses his body to serve the world. He literally, takes on people's karma on his body and suffers. He takes care of every being. And most important, he works like a servant. Do you do? Ask yourself, how much do you do? And one of the most important lesson which me and my Guruji are doing in this chapter 13, it's called, Krishna Bhagavan is telling a secret to Uddhava. He says, yes, I have told you all the means, how you can attain, your wheels, your spiritual wheel. And in that, the first thing he says, first is you need a Sadguru. Not just ordinary saints. No ordinary gurus will also help you. A Sadguru is important. And when you learn under the tutelage of this Sadguru, and the number 2 important thing which you need to perform is called service, seva. Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva unto the Sadguru. Let me tell you, 17 years, I've seen n number of people coming to my Gurudev. He will tell you do this. Not a single soul will do. Why? Because everybody comes with their ego, their way, their pride. And how can you serve the master? And there are a lot of people who will talk before coming itself. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. You know what? When you come, not even one spoon you will lift. Not even a small thing you will do. Why? Why is that? See, the Guru Bhakti and Guru Seva forms the foundation of your spiritual wheel. Till you don't have both, you can't progress on the path. And it is not so easy to serve Krishna Bhagavan. A Sadguru is Lord Almighty himself. He is not some below average being. So the so-called gurus in this world. This morning also my Guruji was teaching the same lesson in Tripura Rahasyam. Who is teaching Parshuram? Parshuram himself is a guru. And who is teaching him? Lord Dattatreya. And his supreme master, he is a Sadguru, a teaching a guru. Means what? See, when you have a body and when you have to do certain things, you still have to, even you might be a divine being, you still have to go through the journey of learning under the real guru. We are talking of a Sadguru, not some ordinary people in this world. And when you have such a being in your life, you have to have this thing, yes, I need to do. See, today nobody are taught. Yesterday me and my Guruji were, discussing something. So my Guruji was saying, imagine your generation and the previous generation. If you look at your previous generation, that is this body's parents and all, they are sickly people. Why? Because we have not followed the way of life. Eating the food which you are used to, we gotten into all sorts of nonsensical things, following whatever that was given to us. And if you take our generation, I have so many friends, and in my office when I used to work, a lot of colleagues, everybody had autistic children. The autism was at a big rise. Why is that? Because we had gone off the path. Our food habits were not good. We abused. We did all the wrong things. Not following our roots was the biggest mistake. We gotten carried away by all the influence of the world, especially the Western influence. and we let go of our beautiful Sanatan Dharma, the culture of the foundation on which we are born on. And that is the very foundation which we have completely destroyed. And today people behave in whatever way they want to. They don't know how to be nice. Anger is always sitting on top of their nose. They talk whichever way they want to. Ego, pride, arrogance. For what? Understand, it is your own funeral. It's leading to your own destruction. The way you behave, please understand one thing. My Guruji taught this lesson way beyond. He teaches everybody the same lesson. There is no difference. He'll always say, Rajma, it is how we behave with the world is the way the world will behave with us. See, it's a universal law. If you are nasty, you behave nastily, you are going to get it back from the universe. So be very careful how you behave. It's a very important thing. It is what you give is what you get 1,000 times back. Very simple law. And this is a universal law of this world. And that is very important for us to understand. And how you teach your children. And my Guruji will always say, see, you were not given that same parenting, which is very important. The parenting is also a very important aspect. Many a time I have told my Guruji, this body's dad was a very angry person. All his negative things I carried on subconsciously. And this is very beautifully explained in a very nice video by a person called Bruce Lipton. You should go see this. You should listen to it. And you will understand how you have to behave nicely so that your children can be good. You can't destroy their future. You have anyway gone and destroyed yours. So at least the future generation's life should be good. So my Guruji was talking about how should we now roll out our program, the way of life, so that we can establish this foundation in the future generation. Because today what happens is when people come, they have crossed a certain stage. And when you come to learn, you can't bring your ego. The first thing the Guru will destroy is your ego. So that's what he's saying. You can't have any pride. So this pride, what is he saying? It can't even end. Even Brahmaji cannot get over the pride. What about a mere mortal? So many great learned people are caught in it. So don't have pride about anything. What is there to be having the pride? My Guruji was saying, everything is God-given. Everything is the will of the Divine Lord. The demons and the Divine Being, all are in the self alone. The Krishna Bhagwan is an epitome of everything. Everything is coming from him. But who do you want to be is a choice that you have. Do you want to be divine or do you want to be demonic? And that is what he even teaches Arjuna even in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So what do you want to be is a choice that you have. And like my Guruji said, see, we are not here to spoon feed too much. We can teach, we can tell. If somebody wants to go and destroy their life, please let them be our guests. We can't be changing everybody's life. We are not here till you don't surrender, till you don't put a step forward in wanting to transform. This is not a joke. We can only teach. The choice of becoming good or wanting to be like a pig you want to live is in your hands alone. Krishna Bhagwan is not going to do anything. No magic is going to work here. Next. So horrible is the effect of this pride that even gods like Brahma cannot save themselves. And okay, we finished this. In the life of devotees, the pride never grows, but disappears due to their faith in God. How sweet. O King, I have told you the state of the devotees. So what is he saying? Who is talking about? Who's talking this? This teaching is given by the sage Hari to Janak Maharaj. Don't forget the Genesis. In the life of the devotees, the pride never grows, but disappears due to their faith in God. So as you do the Guru Seva, as your devotion to your Guru evolves, as you evolve in the path of bhakti and service, these pride and everything gets destroyed because of your faith in them. It doesn't matter how the world looks at you, what they say, what they don't say. It doesn't matter. Because the most important thing you will learn is how to be humble, how to have humility. We are not here to get carried away by people's opinion. It doesn't even matter because they're talking from their minds. You know what they're talking from. The mind's muck. It's like a place where everybody rolls. They love to believe in that. So that is what they'll talk about. Just because you say, oh, Rajma is great, doesn't mean a damn thing. Just because you say, oh, she's the worst, doesn't mean a damn thing. My Guruji will always say, let them say, who are they talking about? It is their mind's gutter that they are spewing. Why should we get carried away? So don't even get into anybody's mind state. It's none of our business. Stay out of it. First of all, you have to stay out of your own mind. That's the most important thing. Next. O king, I have told you the state of the devotees. So what happened? The devotees in oneness with the divine Lord, and there is no pride. We are talking about the devotees. We are not talking about mere normal human beings. When I say devotees, we are talking about the sages and the saints. Please keep it in mind that such selfless devotees who have dropped all pride become dear to God, and He loves them. Who does God love? God can only appear to a pure devotee, not some normal mortal. God comes and appears. You need only with His grace can you see Him. But how pure is you? How pure is your heart? Are you a pure being? Has your pride been dropped off? Do you have ego? Do you have arrogance? When you have all this, God cannot be experienced. God might be standing right in front of you, but yet you can't see Him. Why? Because you are covered with all this Shadripus, all the demonic dispositions. So you need to overcome all of that. So here we are talking about a pure devotee, a selfless devotee. So he's saying very clearly, please keep it in mind that such selfless devotees who have dropped all pride and becomes dear to the God, and He loves them. Whatever they request for, God gives it to them by being Himself that object, and He is pleased when they are happy by getting it. Please understand, the sages and saints don't ask anything for themselves. Whatever they do, they are only doing it for the world. They don't have any requirement at all. My Guruji, though born in a king's family, in a royal family, yet he threw all that whole life and he walked out. He has nothing to ask for. He doesn't want anything. Today if he decides, he just can walk out. Nothing is in his name. There's no asset, there is no money, there is no liability, there is no bank balance, nothing is there. He doesn't owe anything to anybody. Such is a great being on this planet Earth in this century. Tell me one person who is this, who can be like this. There is not a single human being. I was remembering my Guruji's mother died a few years ago, and it was her death itself was very divine. She finished a Parayan. She will very sincerely read the Sai Baba Satcharitra. And most important, there was a Dattatreya Jayanti. She was just sick. She ate that Mahaprasad, and the next day she passed away in her sleep. Such death can only come to a pure soul. Why? Because she was a very pure soul. She was a good being. That is what is most important. How do you live matters in this life. Don't misuse what God has given you. Please understand, when you misuse and you misbehave, you are going to face the consequences of it. Please understand, the same medicine is going to come back to you in 1,000 times. At that time, you will not know what hit you in life. That is the truth. So we have to genuinely be very good. We have to be truthful, not to just ourselves, to the world around. Don't speak lies. The foundation of goodness, the foundation of God is not based on lies. It is based on truth. You should be able to look into any person's eyes and speak truth. Understand, when you cannot face somebody and look into their eyes and speak the truth, understand, you are lying. Who are you lying to? You are lying to your own self. So first, this is the things you need to learn to follow. And what is he saying? Most important, that God gives everything that they need. Krishna Bhagavan tells this in Bhagavad Gita so beautifully. I bring full security for my devotees. I personally take care of all of their needs. Understand, when He is doing all that, what are you doing? Most important. And all these devotees of the God, like all the sages, the saints, all these divine beings, they are here only to do good in this world. They don't have any ulterior motivation. So God will give them, and if they get it, it's fine. If they don't get it, it's still fine. My Guruji so far has not even opened a mouth and say, I need this or I need that. It is so beautiful how he lives, but nobody can understand him. It's not so easy. And to live with him is not even easy at all. Because he wants you to do something. It's not a joke to come and live with him. It's a very important thing that if you have to evolve and you want to learn under him, his method is very weird. You can't even expect. Don't come with your mind's agenda. Oh, I should be taught like this. There are a lot of people who come and tell, oh, Guruji, I want to do this scripture. I thought I'm going to come and learn scripture. Seriously. Oh, you came with your agenda, how you want to learn. It is for the Guru to decide how he wants to teach you. It's none of your ways. He has to first accept you as his disciple, not the other way around. People have high hopes of thinking that they have the right to ask the Guru what they want and how they want. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. It is he who decides. Like I told you, this body's example. When I came, Guruji, I want fast track. Fast track? Fast of F also didn't happen in the first 5 years. And then only it hit me. Oh my God, it is him who decides. You think it is so easy to go through the journey? It is not. First, learn to become good human being. Stop this mind talk and stop talking nonsense all the time. Learn to shut your mouth. That's the most important thing. Don't talk nonsensical stuff. And talk what is sense. Most important, and gain knowledge. What is missing is knowledge today, the right knowledge in life. And how you behave in this world matters. First, change your way of life, which is very, very important. Next. God is present at that place where the devotee goes, and he takes the form of each object which the devotee wants. So beautiful. God himself becomes the object for this devotee. Are you even worthy enough of that? So that is what you have to become. No body is ready. First, the body has to go through the journey. The body is not you. That is what the point. No body is that. So you all have to evolve. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. So what does God do? He becomes that object for his devotee. How sweet is it? Then, to prevent the devotee from the evil eye, God is hovering around him. God becomes a slave to the devotee and he walks together with the loving devotee. Wow, how beautiful is it? How sweet is it? Does your anybody in your life, has your parent or your children or anyone of you done this? Nobody takes care of you as much that God does. And this is one thing we need to understand. So your devotion has to be towards God, not towards the material worldly family, house, car, all these possession, people, places and things. Stop running after this. It's not worth it at all. Then, just as a mother takes all the care of a small child because of her great love for it, God also does everything for his devotees because they say they have no sense of pride. Now, here is the most important thing which you need to understand. What is he saying? He's given an example of a mother, just like a mother, how she takes care of the, because of her great love, how she takes care of a child. Similarly, God also does everything for his devotees because they have no sense of pride. When will he do? When the devotee doesn't have a sense of pride. Not when you have big fat ego, pride, arrogance, anger sitting on your head, I don't know what, and for every drop of a hat you get angry, irritated, frustrated. For what? Ignorance. And then you're living in your mind constantly. Understand one thing. Krishna Bhagavan will never come in a place when you are constantly living in your mind and believing everything that the mind is saying to you. This is one thing you need to understand. You will have to fight your own mind. He's never ever going to come near that place. Because mind, that whatever the thoughts goes in that is only Maya, which is unreal. So you have to choose between Maya or Krishna Bhagavan. If you're constantly living in Maya, Krishna Bhagavan is not even going to come near you. He'll say, oh yeah, you can continue living in the world of Maya alone. So be very careful. Next, while God is thus taking care of his devotee and protecting him, he has some misgivings that perhaps the devotee may be unified with him. And he may not be able to love and have a dialogue with that devotee. And so what is he saying? He's saying that while God is thus taking care of his devotee and protecting him, he has some misgivings that perhaps the devotee may be unified. What means what? He's just in oneness. He may be unified with him. And he may not be able to love and have a dialogue with that devotee. So what happens? When you are in oneness with the Divine Lord, you become one with the God. And that time you can't love him and have a dialogue. That is why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji will always say this. We need to have the little ego. It's like a burnt rope. Your ego is like a burnt rope. For especially these devotees, it's completely burnt. But what appears is like, it's just an image. So if you touch it, it's already ash. But if you see, it's got that impression that it looks like a rope. But if you touch it, it'll all just melt away. So why? Because it's burnt. So that little ego has to be maintained so that you can love him. To love God, that's the most beautiful thing. That sweetness is important to experience. And he asks himself, whom whom shall I love? To whom I should look with affection? With whom shall I have a heart-to-heart talk? Yeah, that's what happens. So if you don't have someone to love, so whom are you going to love? Because you become that one and he's within you. See, that is why Krishna Bhagavan is full of himself. He doesn't need another. But the reason why Krishna Bhagavan created this another was because he wanted to understand what it is to love Krishna Bhagavan. So he creates his reflection, and so he creates another entity called Radha Rani. That is none other than Krishna Bhagavan alone. But he wanted to understand what it feels like to love him. And yet, to date, he is not able to understand because the world of Maya is different. And what happens when Maya comes, the mind comes in. So she still has, like Krishna, my Guruji will always say, Krishna Bhagavan is still searching for his love. And that love is called unconditional love. You can't have conditions with God. Oh, you give me this, you be with like this, you should do this, you should do that. You are nobody to dictate terms. In Golok Vrindavan also the similar things happen. So Radha Rani doesn't like Krishna Bhagavan going with other gopis. So there's always a conflict. And understand something. Krishna Bhagavan is to everybody. God is to each his own. It is you who has to experience that. You can't look at somebody else and be jealous. You can't look at, oh, that person is loving him, I am loving him. Do you know why Krishna Bhagavan is blue? That's because everybody spews venom at each other. And that poor thing, he has to absorb all of that and his body turns blue. And similarly, even on earth, what happens is when one person is jealous of another and all, it affects the Lord, the Guru's body, because he's Para Brahman, he's Krishna Bhagavan himself. And what are we giving him? We are only giving him pain. So the most beautiful way to eradicate that is to love him, to do his service, to always be in goodness of heart, to just give him love. Love is the word which you need to live by. It is not living in the mind that matters. No matter what no matter what you have or you don't have, if you don't know how to live a very good life, just filled with love, what is the use of your money? What is the use of everything that you have? It's worthless. And understand, today the world is full of miseries like this. People go to this Instagram and they see all sorts of, oh, we went on a holiday. They'll put all nice photos, oh, family photo, children, everybody. Please look into their life. You don't even want to live their life even for a day. It's all fake. It's a sham. Understand, whatever God has given to us, we have to learn to be contented with that. And whatever life we have today is because of our karma. And when you have the grace of the Guru, those karma can be destroyed. But that is in your hands. How you have Guru Bhakti and Guru Seva, till you don't perform, if you don't do service, you can't eat the meva. Seva karenge to meva khayenge. Till you don't do service, you can't eat the fruits of it, no? He's not going to give you free ticket. Oh yes, yeah, please come, I will. Don't do anything. Krishna Bhagavan will sit and do everything for you. Doesn't work. I am sorry. It doesn't work. Service is the most important thing. You should read the beautiful story of Eknath Maharaj. He is Sri Krishna Bhagavan himself. The kind of service he was doing for his Gurudev, that has to be the goal. And that you should have it. Nobody can give you from outside. Why are we learning Guru Charitra? What does Sai Baba teach? What does Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji teach? Why are we learning all this scripture? That is because to understand what it means to serve the Master, what it means to have devotion to him, how to behave, how to be, everything has to be taught. Do you know, many a time I have to behave in a certain way because I have to set an example to the world how to be a good disciple to the Guru. Not behave whichever way you want. This is not a house. It's called wherever the Guru lives. It is called ashram. Everybody comes to take refuge at his lotus feet. And please understand, where Krishna Bhagavan lives, it is called Golok Vrindavan on planet Earth. That place is a Golok Vrindavan. It is filled with divinity and love and goodness. So we are only here to give this love and goodness to the world and serve the world. So don't take it for granted. Understand what it means. So my Guruji will always say, yes, he will help everybody who comes to him, taking refuge. That is our job. That is what we do. We serve everybody. We put them on their path. We show them. We teach them. And to learn, you need to have humility and humbleness. Most important. Don't bring what you know, what you don't. Nobody cares. He doesn't even care about it. My Guruji will always say very clearly to people, Look, my door is open. You're most free to come and you're free to get out. We are not going to pander to people's egos, ways, and what. Don't bring all whatever you know, you don't know. You might be some great person from somebody. Doesn't matter. Understand, you're coming into Krishna Bhagwan's ashram and you have to follow that rules and conduct and learn here from him. We all make mistakes, but that's what is a part of journey to growing up. And acknowledging and learning from it is important, and then moving on, progressing. That's what matters, not anything else. So he asks himself, okay, we did this, but when the devotee is one with God, what happens is that it is God alone who is living happily in the body of the devotee also. So it's both, they are united in oneness. Thus, when the devotee worships God with one pointed force of love, God is worshipping himself through his own body. Vedanta contains description of this unity, and it is called devotion in unity. So Krishna Bhagwan will always understand one thing. He's always lost in himself because everything is in himself. He's in himself. He's in love with himself. There's nothing that he has to look for outside. And this whole entire universe is just his play. It's called Leela. He just does it out of sport. There is no ulterior motivation to that. God is not satisfied completely while embracing the disciple of this faith outside. So he enters the body and holds him within his great aura. How beautiful. Thus, he uses an excuse of embracing the devotee and takes him within his consciousness, and with tremendous love permeates himself within and out of the body of his disciple. Means what? He is everywhere. Today we learned a very, very powerful lesson, that the self is in everything and everything is in the self alone. So what is outside of God? Nothing at all, if you go look at to see. But this is a theoretical knowledge. How do you understand? First you have to experience. You have to experience the devotion. You have to first be devoted. You have to experience. You have to do your sadhana. You have to do your seva. Till you don't do any of those things, how will this experience open up? How will you understand what it means to be in devotion? What it means to be in love with the Divine Lord? You're not going to understand at all. Nobody can tell you how the chocolate tastes. I can say, oh, this is sweet. Sweet what? How do you describe the sweetness? To some, less sugar is, I don't know what sweetness. Can you describe the level of sweetness? No, till you don't experience it, till you don't taste it yourself, you will not understand what that sweetness means. So, thus, we did this. Only such a devotee who has mutual love with God can be said to be the best of Bhagavata, and his behavior is liked by God to such an extent. Today, tell me, is anybody's behavior liked by God? He has to manifest to set things right in this world. Unfortunately, it's a very sad state we are in. And this is in Kali Yuga. He has to come and tell, please be your good self. I'm listening to these words last 17 plus years. My Guruji will always say this to everybody. Be good self, be your good self, be your good self. But to understand what is be your good self, it's like a Athanga Sangar. That word itself is a limitless ocean. And for the first time in my 17 years, a little glimpse I got. What does my Guruji mean by saying be your good self? It is not a joke, that word. You have to first investigate, cogitate. This is what he teaches. You have to understand, what does be your good self mean? You think what he's going to give you answers just like that? No, he will teach, but you have to go and understand. And for the first time I asked him, oh my God, I think a little bit of idea I have. What do you mean by be your good self? Now I understand why you say that. That's very little. But you have to go in the deeper aspect of what does being your good self mean. It's a very, very powerful word. Every word from your Guru's mouth is a gospel truth. It is a universe by itself. It's not a joke. So, O King, the devotee is not at all aware what is duality. I will tell you about this sense of oneness without any difference, which is the state of the mind of such a devotee. So we have completed verse 51. Tomorrow we'll continue chapter 2 and verse 52 and sub-verse 736 onwards. So thank you for joining Shri Eknathi Bhagavat Parayan. Have a good day and good evening to you all. God bless.
Recording stopped.